Hey scrapbook friends, it's Nicole from Nicole Scrapbooks, and today I wanted to share a quick layout technique with you for a page layout that's been going around the Creative Memories Advisor community for the past several months that we've been calling the triangle fold page. This is a super easy technique, but it gives you really dramatic results. It's so versatile because you can use any double-sided designer paper and any cardstock, and just by changing up the cardstock or the paper that you use, and even how you position the triangles, you get very different dramatic results. This is great for a title page for your album. If you have one focal point photo that you want to share, you can even put multiple pictures on the page. And I'm going to give you a sneak preview of my 2017 family album. You can see it's still a work in progress. I like to take the spine off when I'm working. And of course, some Post-it notes remind me of things that I still need to do. But here is a layout that I did using this triangle fold technique. And I didn't, I just covered up the pictures. I didn't feel like I had to just put a picture in the middle. I've also seen it where like they tuck the picture into some of the folds, which is really cool. This one here was with the Memoirs and Memories paper pack from last summer. And we just added the medallion punch pieces here and a piece in the middle. And so these two layouts, I think, feel very different. I wouldn't put them side by side in an album together, but I'll give you a little sneak peek of this page under here. But, scattered throughout your album, they don't all look the same. And we could all, make one of these and every one of them would look different. Okay, so let's get going. It's super easy. All you're going to need is a piece of double-sided designer paper and a piece of cardstock that coordinates with it. And I'm going to use this piece of paper from the Daydreamer collection, which was released a few months ago, and a piece of goldenrod cardstock. You're also going to want a repositionable tape runner and a regular tape runner. You could do it without the repositionable, but I really love the repositionable, and it just gives you a little bit of wiggle room. And then, of course, you're going to need your 12-inch trimmer. So we're going to put the cardstock to the side because this is our base. We don't need it for a minute. And we're going to fold out the arm of our trimmer so that we can cut our 12 by 12 designer paper into two 6x6 squares. Sorry, we're going to cut it into four 6x6 squares. All right, now you're going to take one of these and set it aside. We don't need it for this rest of the layout, unless you want to put it, in the middle. There's some things we can do later, and I'll show you that. So that's going to get set aside, and then we're going to take each of these 6x6 squares and we're going to cut them into triangles. And this is where some of the cool features with the CM 12-inch trimmer are really going to come in handy. And one of those is the sight lines, which are these little slide out positioners that are going to show you exactly where your page lines up, and also the little point on the edge of the blade holder. So you can also use the lines on your cutting piece, and you're going to line up two corners of the square. And then I like to just double check with my sight lines to make sure that I'm exactly on the corner. It won't be the end of the world if you're off by a little bit, but it sure makes it easier if this is cut perfectly on the diagonal. And we're going to do that to all three of our 6x6 squares. All right, so this is the hardest part, is getting these corners cut. And actually one of these, I noticed that I didn't quite get it perfectly square. I don't know if you can see, there's a little bit off, but we're going to work around that. And then you're going to take each of these triangles, and this next part's a little bit easier because you only have one corner to line up, and you can position the other part just on the edge. And I find it's easier to do it at the bottom. just because that's the side that I'm closest to. You can cut 2 at a time if you're brave. I'm not usually brave enough to cut 2 at a time, but so that you don't have to watch me cut all these, I am going to speed through and cut all my triangles. Now this particular paper that I used has the back side is a little bit directional. So we're done with the trimmer for now. So if you look on the back of this paper, it has a horizontal kind of a chevron line. So this makes it a little bit trickier when you put your page together. If you have just an all over design like this, then the next step is a little bit easier. And this isn't hard. You just have to be aware that you have this stripe. You may not care about having them all go the same direction, but that's something that I care about. So you're going to set aside 4 of these for now, but I'm going to flip them over because I may need to choose 4 different ones. And then you can decide if you want to have like the flowers be the main part or the stripes be the main part. You can also alternate flower stripe, but I find that I like the way it looks better when I just do flowers. So we're just going to position these all the way around, not sticking anything down yet. It doesn't matter if they line up. You know, the patterns don't have to match or anything like that. But because we have this stripe on the back, now I am going to have to check. So I don't want to have my lines going in a different direction. So like this right here, I'm going to have to fix in just a minute. So apparently I put the wrong ones to the side. I should have started with the stripes down. But I'm going to want to do it like this, so that you see now all my lines are going in the same direction. Okay, and now I can just go ahead and flip these over, and these are in the right spot. And then we're going to just take our, I guess I don't have to turn them over all now. We're going to take our repositionable adhesive and put just a little dab along the longest straight edge. And you can see the repositionable adhesive is just little dots. And this is going to allow us to move the pieces around if we need to. So I'm going to line up in this bottom corner, right along the edge, and press down on that repositionable. And I'm going to do the same thing going all the way around. Once you've done this a few times and you start feeling comfortable, it's not quite as important to use the repositionable, but for me it's just a good little safety backup. Now, if I had cut my papers perfectly, they would have lined up perfectly, and apparently I jiggled a little bit on my cutter, so don't worry too much about that. The goal is kind of to get the points right here to line up and as close to the corner as you can, and of course to make this straight. All right, just all the way around, stick down your pieces. And then once you've got it all the way on and you see it lined up, what you're going for is a very nice square here. So you want these kind of to line up. You want to have distinct little valleys right here. And then you can take your regular tape and just tack down the corners. And again, we're just doing along this straight edge that goes toward the outside of the design. And you just need a little tiny bit in the corner just to keep it from moving, because the repositionable is, of course, repositionable. It's good for positioning, and then once you've got it exactly where you want it, you'll want to permanently adhere these pieces down. All right, whoops. Apparently I didn't quite go all the way around. Okay, so now I've gone all the way around. All my pieces are permanently stuck down along this long edge. And then you're just gonna take the point and fold it to this side of the paper. And because it's a triangle, you can't fold it crooked really. I mean, you could try, but as long as this is just touching the edge of the paper, you're gonna get aligned the way you want. And you can see now that as I've got my stripe side showing, the fact that my stripes all go in the same direction becomes a little bit more important. And you know, your mileage may vary. You may like it with a little bit more variety and the stripes going in a couple different directions, and that's perfectly fine. I tend to be a stripes need to line up in order kind of person. Okay, so we've done all this, and then what I would have you do is go around and take just another little dab of adhesive and stick all of these down. But for the sake of time in this video, I'm not going to take time right now to do that so you don't have to watch me. And then you can decide what you want to do with your last 4 triangles. Do you want them to be the same, where the flower side is the same emphasis, or do you want to alternate? On this one, I alternated. So you see here, I had the big triangle was the water print, and then this one was this, I guess it's also a water print, but this is like a photographic water, and this is the cartoon water. And so here you get a lot more of that photographic water, and then this side you get a little bit more of the cartoon. So since I did this one with flipping them and doing it opposite, I'll do this one the same. And again, for this one, I'm going to want to make sure that I line up my lines. So I'm going to start with this, but I'm going to flip it over when I go. So, and then you're going to do the exact same thing, a little dab of adhesive, and then you take the point and you stick it in this little valley. And what you want to do with this is make sure that your square looks good, because this is what people are going to see. So if you have to jiggle it a little bit down here in the valley to make the square look nice, go ahead and do that. It doesn't have to be perfect, but that's kind of where the repositionable adhesive allows you to move things around and get it all aligned before you commit to sticking anything down. All right, so here I'm gonna have to tweak that just a little bit to get my square the way I want it. And then I'm going to put a little dab of permanent adhesive on these corners. All right, so just to be speedy, I'm gonna line up without the repositionable being perfect. All right, so just go all the way around. Get your corners lined up. All right, so then here again, I've got this square in the middle. And this is kind of where you want to make sure that it's the most straight. If it's a little bit off, you know, down here you can see that I didn't quite line up my pieces because I wanted it to be straight right here. That's all right. And then you just do the same thing. Fold your points in. And these kind of should line up here as well. And then go ahead and stick down all your points, and there's your finished page. You can at this point take this extra piece of 6x6 pattern paper. You could put it in as a kind of a diamond triangle like this. You could tuck it under like this. You could put it square. You could put the stripes like this. You can cut this smaller, make a smaller piece. You can even take this 6x6, cut it into fourths, cut those into triangles, and go down one more section with this. It's a little tedious, and you're still going to end up with that last little piece. So far, I haven't found anybody that's willing to take that last little piece and go all the way down, but it does look really fancy if you take this and do that exact same technique and fill it all the way in. So there you go. You can use this with any brand of paper as long as it's 12x12 double-sided. You could actually probably use 6x6 paper if you have some 6x6 paper pads or something. As long as you have 3 6x6 pieces, then you could do the same technique with the pieces that are already 6x6. 6x6. It changes the look so much if you, what color you use with the background paper. If I had used a dark green or a pink, I would get a completely different look for this layout. And so it's just really fun to play with and get different different styles. You can also use a pattern paper for your background, but that gets really busy, so be selective about what you do. Anyway, this is the triangle fold page. I hope that you will try it out. If you have any questions, please ask me in the comments, and I hope that this has been informative for you, and that wherever you are, you're having a great day, and happy scrapbooking.